We've got some fun things to announce on the podcast today and 52 of the hottest takes about this year's 2024 TCU football team. Let's jump right in. Hey everybody, welcome in to the Frogs Insider Podcast. Jamie Plunkett here alongside Melissa Triebwasser, bringing it back for episode number 76. Pretty cool that we're 76 episodes into this version of our podcast, Melissa. Super excited that we're here, and we have some really cool news.
Some breaking news, if you will.
Yeah, I should have actually said the title of our podcast a little bit differently tonight.
Yeah, this is true. Would you like to kind of
let's reset.
Start this over again? Okay, let's
just reset. Let's reset real quick. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Frogs Insider Podcast presented by the Flying T Club. I'm Jamie Plunkett. She's Melissa Triebwasser. Very excited. Yes, you heard correctly. We are partnering with the Flying T Club, TCU's premier NIL collective. Very excited about this partnership with them. Love the folks over at the Flying T Club. Have known them for a very long time. And we're excited to move forward into this partnership. They are going to be the sponsoring... the presenting sponsor of the show for this year, and we're going to see where it goes from there. Obviously, with the NIL landscape changing after this year, we'll see what happens after that. But Melissa, this means as part of this partnership that we're going to be able to provide the listeners and the folks on YouTube with exclusive interviews with their over 110 signed TCU ambassadors. So we're going to be able to sit down and talk with those student athletes and tell their stories and deliver that straight to the TCU audience. It's pretty dope.
I think that is the part I'm most excited. Well, the part I'm most excited about is I feel like now, like, the haters have nothing to say. We are. This like we were texted back and forth when we were kind of finalizing this. They have officially legitimized us, and I'm so sorry to everybody that never wanted to see that happen. But we're the real deal. But the best part about this is I'm so excited to sit down with these student athletes and tell their stories and get those one-on-one interviews and have the opportunities to speak to them outside of a game or a post-game setting, but to really get to know who these young men and women that represent TCU are and be able to share that with all of you. So super excited about this partnership. Incredibly thankful to the folks at Flying T for wanting to do this with us. And you know, Jamie, you did a lot of the legwork here, so appreciate you being boots on the ground in those meetings and making all this happen. And there's more to come, folks. Like, this football season this year, this athletic season, we have some really cool things happening. So we're just getting started, but the Flying T Club has given us a big boost, so to speak, and allowed us to take this thing to new heights.
Yeah, we've been around for a minute, Melissa, you and I covering TCU athletics, but let this be a reminder that we're not even close to being done or worn out quite yet. So super excited about this partnership with the Flying T.
Old,
like I said,
but
we
not
are
worn
old,
out. Yeah.
But, you know, not that old. Not that old. But yes, so we'll be able to bring you exclusive interviews. We're going to be live streaming from future Flying T Club events. We're going to be hosting live post-game shows after home games this year, and much more with this partnership with the Flying T Club. So if you're not already giving to the Flying T Club, go over to flyingtclub.com, check out the website, see what they're doing, because they are one of the few NIL collectives in the country that is still a 501c3 nonprofit. Yeah. They do a ton of really cool philanthropic work all across Fort Worth. And so I would encourage you folks to go and check all of that out. They're an incredible organization. They support the heck out of TCU student athletes and the larger Fort Worth community. So flyingtclub.com, go over there and check them out. You'll be hearing a lot more from us about the FTC over the course of this football season and beyond.
It's super exciting.
Yes, with that, Melissa, we are still also a part of the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Republic of Football Network. That's not changing at all.
They tried to drop us.
They've tried. They've humbled us both pretty significantly in this online dynasty league so far. I am currently 3-3, and I am rethinking my life decisions. I might just start running the wishbone because my offensive line can't do crap. But yes, we love our folks over the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Network, and are still thrilled to be a part of that as well.
I just want to point out that Evan Eber from Between Two Bears ran scared from our game tonight. He was scared. He didn't show up. Much like Baylor and TCU, he knew he was overmatched, and he bailed. So Evan, if you're listening, which I'm sure you are, just know I won't forget this.
He won't. She won't.
She won't. She won't forget
Evan
it.
rinsed me when we played, so.
Oh God, maybe I'm glad.
For the best.
Yeah,
Probably
maybe I'm glad.
Yeah.
With Texas State.
Look.
Yeah.
Wait,
they're not bad.
we simmed that game. We had to sim that game.
Oh, okay.
I got a dub. That was one of my 3 wins. So I'm
There you
3-3. We've had to sim 2 weeks, and those are 2 of my 3 wins. I've won a game.
I'm
at the
2-1.
helm.
I'm 2-1. I'm just saying.
impressed.
I got beat
I'm
like
impressed.
70-17, and then I dominated one game, and I barely edged Craven, and he won't talk to me since. So we might not be a part of the Dave Campbell's Texas Football
He
Republic
might
Football
be
Network
writing
for
us
long.
out of the will. Yeah, he's writing
Yeah.
us out of the will as we speak. One last thing before we jump into our very, very fun episode, Melissa. We've got a challenge out to all of our listeners to go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. When I put this challenge out last week, we had 369 subscribers.
Nice.
We are currently at 420 subscribers. So the first push worked. For those that missed last week's episode, we are trying to get to 500 subscribers on the YouTube channel before kickoff of the TCU Stanford game. And if we get to 500 subscribers on that YouTube channel, Melissa and I will do smelling salts as a part of our recap episode covering that TCU Stanford game.
And we've been told, everybody has said it's a really bad idea. So go ahead and get us to 80 more subscribers and make us miserable.
I spent most of my Sunday, Melissa, looking at videos of people doing smelling salts, and I might just delete the YouTube channel. I'm not going to lie to you. I might just shut it down.
Listen, Jamie, the people are speaking with their subscribe buttons. So if that's
They
what people
are.
want, we will.
And we're very thankful for the folks wherever they follow us, whether that's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us at the Republic Football Network or at Frogs Insider if you just want TCU content. Obviously, the Frogs Insider YouTube channel. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok. You can find us on our Twitter handles as well. If you're watching the YouTube show right now, you can see our Twitter handles on the screen. For those of you who are audio only, I am at Frog Preacher. Melissa is at The Coach Melissa. And we might just be getting a Frogs Insider Twitter account up and running as well. We'll see.
Before we have a jam-packed show, but before we dive in with our hot takes, can I just talk a little bit about TCU soccer?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. Let's do that.
Just for a moment. TCU Soccer has played 2 games so far this season. They came into the season unranked. They had a couple of scrimmages. Rice and FSU looked really solid. They came out and dominated number 20 Alabama. I'm not going to try to sit here and talk professional soccer analyst style because I don't know how to do that yet. But I'm learning and I'm excited, and I plan to spend a lot of time on the TCU soccer beat this year. But I will say this, what Eric Bell has been able to continuously do year in and year out with that program is just really unbelievable. And I am so excited at the mix of veterans returning. We're seeing Ollie Pena's got a couple assists already. Seven Castaigne has 2 goals already. She scored 7 last season. I'm trying to think of some of the other players that have really kind of. Cameron Lancaster is healthy, and she's looked great so far. Then he's also went and picked up a couple of transfers. I really need to memorize this roster because there are so many new players. There's 18 new faces on this, and I am struggling to remember all of their names. But he brought in a transfer from St. Louis University. Her name is this is Caroline Kelly. That's right, Caroline Kelly. She has been incredible. She had a goal. I think she had the first goal in the first game on Thursday night. And then another player that he brought in, Sarah Brocious from Rutgers, and she had a couple assists in her first game. Her last 2 seasons at Rutgers, she only had 3 assists each season. So she seems to be really gelling and fitting in. 2 shutouts to start the season. Goalkeeping, they've had 2 different goalkeepers start. Both of them have looked super impressive, but the defense has been so good. They really haven't had to work that hard. So this team should be ranked when the next poll comes out. I will be shocked if they're not. Charlotte, who they beat Sunday afternoon 3-0, isn't necessarily a powerhouse, but that's a really solid program, and they went on the road and got a win. And then what they did did to Alabama, not just beating them 3-0, but the way they really seemed to just dominate the tempo, the flow of the game, dominate. They really pushed, spent most of the time on Alabama's side of the field, and it just, he's really got this team cooking already. And with so many new faces, the synergy on that field is evident. The amount of touches that they're getting, just the passing has been elite. So I'm super excited about this team. I think they've got the good mix of young talent, veteran presence, and transfer portal kids to potentially be special. Big 12 women's soccer is really, really tough. I think TCU came in ranked in 4th place in the preseason poll with 1 first place vote. BYU is an absolute powerhouse. And then Texas Tech won the conference, I think, last year. So there's some tough challenges ahead. If you have not been to a TCU women's soccer game, what are you doing? First of all, what are you doing with your
Great
life?
Question.
2,000 people on opening night. Students weren't even officially back yet. School hadn't started. That place was packed. I rolled up at like 6:58 thinking, oh, students aren't on campus. It'll be fine. No, parking lot was full. I had to park in the neighborhood and walk. It's like the atmosphere there is just absolutely electric. So that is the best value, I think, on campus, because I think oftentimes it's like free. And it's also just one of the most fun places to watch a TCU sporting event. So these women are really awesome. The coaching staff is absolutely unbelievable. You're going to want to be a part of this bandwagon. I'm telling you, jump in now, because it's going to get harder and harder to get into those gates the more and more games this team wins, which I think will be a lot.
Yes, that's a lot of really good information about TCU soccer. I also am very excited about this season. They restructured how they run their offense, which I think you mentioned in the midst of all of that, and I think it's obviously paying huge dividends right now. 3 goals in each of the first 2 games, a 2-0 record. TCU Athletics is 2-0 to start this year. That's a nice kickoff to the season after last year that TCU Athletics has had.
Yeah, I talked to Jeremiah Donati down on the field, and after we scored 3 goals, and I'm like, all right, does this set the tone? Like, is this just the beginning? And he said, I think this is just the start of something special. So you heard it from JD. We're going to have an electric TCU Athletics season, and soccer has definitely got the foot off in the right direction.
Well, that's really good. That's really good to hear. Now let's jump in to the meat of
the other
this
football
episode. The other football, Melissa, because we have 52 hot takes that we received from hornfrogblitz.com and on Twitter. I'm going to tell the folks exactly what I told you guys last year when we did this episode, which was 45 hot takes. We're getting more and more hot takes in here. We had over 100 hot takes sent our way, and it's as much as we want to do 2-hour episodes of the Frogs Insider podcast presented by the Flying T Club, we don't really want to do 2-hour episodes. Nobody wants to hear us talk for 2 hours. So what we're going to do, what I've done is I've culled the list down to 52. There were several kind of similar or repeat hot takes, which means maybe it wasn't the hottest of takes. But you're probably going to see yours or something that was similar to yours. Just know, regardless of whether or not yours made it into the show, we see you, we love you, we're thankful for your participation in this exercise. And yeah, we put everybody's Twitter handle or their username on Horned Frog Blitz on these quotes. We're going to put them up on the screen. So if you're listening and you think, man, I want to see what these actual statements are, go over to the YouTube channel, hit that sub button like we've already said. We're going to be showing those in the video version of the show. Okay, Melissa. Should we jump in to the first one?
Are we ready for this? Are
yes,
they ready
I think
for us?
I saved the hottest of takes for number 52, just so people had to hang on till the end.
Okay.
So I should probably say that I saved the hottest of the takes for slide number 52.
Okay.
And not all of these are positive. We got a good number of not so happy-go-lucky hot takes for this year's football team.
All right.
We're
okay. We're here for all of it.
Some of those as well. Yeah.
Are we?
I feel like if I had gotten those, if we had gotten those, and then all of a sudden I didn't include any of them, everyone would go,
that looks bad.
Show.
Yeah, that looks bad.
So,
the real question is, how effective can we be in keeping our answers short? That's the real question, because
we're at almost 15 minutes into the episode now. We got 52 of these, so if we can do about a minute each, I think we'll be okay.
Okay,
all right?
I believe in this. We can do it.
Go. Hot take number 1. Why isn't it showing
Oh, come on. You did such a good job with these.
It was doing it earlier.
Yay!
There we go. All right. Hot take number 1 from TCU Jeep on Twitter. Each game results in a more season-defining win as the team advances up and up the polls all year until they win every game, every playoff game, and avenge the loss to Georgia by winning the Natty by a commanding margin. Pretty hot take.
That is scorching. And TCU Jeep is the eternal optimist on Twitter. I don't want to say he. I'm assuming he always has something positive to say. I love this. I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, we're going to print this out. I'll frame it. I will make it into a flag, and I will fly it in front of my house every day for the rest of time.
Yes, absolutely. TCU Jeep bringing the high heat with hot take number 1. Moving on to hot take number 2. This is from Asher Cook 1 on Horned Frog Blitz. Kansas State will take a big step back with the new OC and OL. Kansas will not live up to the hype. New offensive coordinator. Utah will not do as well as predicted. Cam Rising hasn't played football in a long time. Also, this is the afterthought. TCU wins the Big 12.
By the way.
I'm a fan of this. I think, and I was trying to think back to when we did our Big 12 predictions show a couple of weeks ago, because I feel like we had a similar conversation to this about how good is you're not as high on Kansas State as I am. I'm not as high on Utah as you are. I think we kind of made some of these arguments in that show. I think we both think Kansas will live up to the hype. So that might be the hottest part of this take outside of TCU winning the conference this year. I don't know that a team picked 10th has ever won the Big 12 before. So that would be
team picked 7th has.
Hot part of this. That's true.
And there's more teams now, so that's pretty equivalent.
Roughly 7th. Say roughly 7th. All right. Hot take number 3.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, I was just going to say, I think people aren't putting enough emphasis on Kansas State having a new OC and a new O-line. I think that could be a big thing. Utah and Kansas are both in the same boat. If their quarterback goes down, their season changes dramatically.
Yes.
And both their quarterbacks have injury histories.
Fully agree. Hot take number 3. From Hypnotoad H on Twitter. TCU and Utah play for the conference championship.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Is this hot?
No, I mean, TCU is, again, picked 10. Utah was a prohibitive favorite to be in the conference championship game. So I'd say it's like the hot water's just starting to come into the faucet, but you're not, it's not scorching yet.
I think, yeah, we're in warm water territory right now. I can still get my hands under there and wash dishes and not be having to pull my hands out every 2 seconds. All right. Hot take number 3. This is one of my favorites that I pulled in. I had to make sure to make this one in there. Hot take number 4 is from Carson Warsall on Twitter. SMU will have water in their stadium. This comes on the heels of a tweet of mine that really set SMU fans off when I reminded folks of how bad their stadium experience was a couple years ago when TCU was there. Lines longer than an hour to get in. They ran out of water in the first half. Their plumbing backed up, so there was brown water all over the concourse.
Relatable.
Tough scenes. So yes, this I say would be the spiciest take so far, is that SMU will have water when TCU fans go and visit in week 3 of the season, or week 4 of the season.
Week 4, yeah. We'll see. I haven't been to that stadium in a while. The last time I went, there was plenty of water because it was an absolute downpour, deluge, miserable night.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Moving on. Hot take number 5 from JC Watner on Horned Frog Blitz. TCU flips their record in one-score games because of better execution. I think that's a key part of this hot take, and they finished the season 9-3.
This is not a scorcher because I think that this is the way the football bounces, kind of a take. But I think it's potentially an astute observation when you look at 2022 and the way the ball bounced in 2023 and everything went against them in close games. Even if TCU just kind of regresses to the mean in 24, they're going to win at least 8 games. But I like the 9-3, a realistic optimism from this take.
Well, we're going to see why this is a hot take in the next slide, Melissa.
Oh, boy.
This one's from Yell MK, our good friend on Twitter. Hot take number 6. For the first time since 1955, the Frogs will finish the season with 9 wins. Did you realize that it's been that long?
I knew it had been a long time.
That's 70, what is that? No, 69 years?
Nice.
79 years?
Don't make me math. I think
long time.
It's a lot of years. I mean, that's 45
lot
and
of
24, 69. Yeah, it's a
Nice.
lot of years. So
maybe we keep it at 69 seasons then.
Yeah, I think it fits. Anyone that follows TCU, pays attention, knows that TCU never does things like win 9 or 10 games. Like it's just not in there. I don't think we've ever gone.
I think they've won. The last time they won 8 games was in the late 90s.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's either
So, hey,
boom or bust.
it's a new TCU. Who knows?
Boom
Anything can happen.
or bust. We're starting to heat up here a little bit with these takes.
Yeah.
Number 7, Eric and Lil C, which I love that handle, on Twitter, says 10-2, 11-1, 10-2 or 11-1 with the Big 12 title, and a shot to make the playoffs.
Whew.
We're heating
Gotta
up.
fan ourselves a little bit. That
heating
is
up.
a hot take. 11-1 is a very hot take.
I feel like Eric was drinking the same thing when he typed this out that I was drinking last year.
Yes.
We'll see if his beverage is more accurate than mine was. Moving on. Hot take number 8. This is from Jay Parker on Horned Frog Blitz. I love Jay Parker's stuff. He's a really insightful guy. He does a lot of kind of advanced stats, conversations on the board. If you haven't seen his stuff, I would suggest signing up and going and seeing it because I think he's pretty smart and keyed in. This is his hot take. TCU finishes with a top 25 offense in S&P Plus and a top 35 defense in S&P Plus.
Bud Elliott will have to pass out if he has to rank TCU in the top 35 in both of those categories. He will never recover.
No, he won't. You mean Bill Connolly?
Oh, Bill Connolly does S&P. Bud Elliott does.
Bud Elliott is a national analyst. He Cover 3 Pod's a good podcast.
Yeah, Bud Elliott would also pass out if he had to say anything nice about TCU, though.
He's fighting the good fight for Florida State fans on the internet these days.
as per always. But yes, sorry for Bill Connolly would pass out and die also if he.
I will say this: I meant to look up where TCU was in the S&P Plus defensively last year.
I feel like we looked at it and it was 100 and something.
Because this would be to be top 35 S&P Plus would be a dramatic jump for the defense. I don't think it would be that dramatic of a jump for the offense.
No, the offense was.
I think the offense was somewhere in the low 40s, high 30s, somewhere around there.
But I think the defense we looked last year, it was over 100 or close to it.
It wasn't great.
Listen, I will say this: if TCU is top 50 in both of those categories, we are probably looking at a 9, potentially 10 win season with the parity in the Big 12. I think that's not unrealistic. I fully expect TCU's offense, if that O-line continues to come together, to be in the top 35. And if the defense is in the top 50, you're looking at a pretty balanced, a team that can win a lot of games.
Absolutely. Let's keep rolling. Hot take number 9 from Big TCU Guy on Twitter. He doesn't seem like a big TCU guy with this hot take. He says, this team isn't winning more than 4 games. I want to be wrong, but bad cornerbacks and O-line, D-line depth is going to make this a long season. I'm going to say that this is an incredibly spicy take. This might be the hottest take we've had yet because I think the D-line depth is really good.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really good. The O-line depth was better before we knew that Cade Bennett was going to be out for the year.
Yeah.
I've liked what I've seen from the offensive line this last week in practice. They've improved. Corner depth is a little bit of a concern. I will agree with that.
Yeah, losing a couple. I don't know if we've gotten a status update on Hellman, Vernon Glover.
Hellman, Vernon Glover. It would be shocking to see them back this year.
Yeah, that's kind of my expectation. But without those two guys, I do worry about the cornerback depth. But I'm with you. I really like what I've seen out of the defensive line, and I think with the stud position and how good this linebacking unit is, you can afford to. The D line's not going to have to carry as big of a weight as they might in a traditional setting. So I am excited about that group. I think they're super, super solid. And the hope is that they do their job well enough that corners aren't left on an island for all time. And I love the safety depth too. So
yes,
I think you can not necessarily hide some things, but I think they can massage some things to make that not a huge issue. I think TCU absolutely wins more than 4 games. And if this team doesn't reach bowl eligibility, I would be very disappointed.
I agree. I fully agree with that. Hot take number 10, Hyperfrog on Horned Frog Blitz says TCU will lose to Utah by 28 plus points.
I don't think that's an unrealistically hot take. I don't think it'll happen, but I think it's definitely possible.
I think it's pretty hot because TCU's offense, even just in spite of its inefficiencies last year, was still pretty good at putting up points.
Except
Aside from the Kansas State game, which was just an abomination of a football game, they were pretty good at putting up points. Defensively, I mean, you gotta be rough.
Yeah.
Rough. And I just don't see that happening to this defense this year. So I'm gonna say this is a relatively hot take. Moving on to hot take number 11. Colin Burns, CLN Burns on Twitter, says TCU switches to the wing tee midseason. Pretty spicy. Pretty hot.
A lot of things will have happened if that's where we end up.
A lot of things.
We're
probably seeing starting quarterback Haas Haney.
Yeah.
If we're switching to the wing tee. And don't worry, folks. We've got some Haas Haney hot takes coming your way tonight. Let's keep going. Hot take number 12. TCU only beats Stanford by a field goal, yet still wins 9 games on the season. This is from Simply Frog on HFB.
Listen, I am the one person who is giving Stanford credit and thinks they're going to be better than most people think that they are. And again, very biased. Like that is my personal bias creeping through. But I don't think TCU comes out and absolutely dominates Stanford. I think I have it on record of saying I think this game is a one-score game going into the fourth quarter. The team that does not turn it over in the second half is the team that wins. And I think that team will be TCU and that they will be able to pull the way to win, not comfortably, but I think they'll be up by 2 scores with the ball to end the game kind of a situation. So I would not be surprised at all. Opening night, Friday night, weird environment, unfamiliar opponent, coach in his second year, good O-line, good D-line, elite wide receiver on the other side. I think this is one of those games where TCU fans were going to have to be nervous for the vast majority of it.
We feel differently about this football game.
Yes, we do.
I need to go back and watch more Stanford before I solidify my opinion. But yeah, we feel different. I think this is a spicy take from Simply because if it's a close game against Stanford, I think that raises more questions. Anyways, moving on to 13. This is from MT Frog 5 on Horn Frog Blitz. The elder millennial TCU fans will understand this callback. TCU at Utah will be a top 5 matchup, and we will win 47-7.
I love this. It brings me back to happier days.
This is an incredibly spicy take if you look at it a second time.
Yeah.
TCU and Utah will be a top 5 matchup.
Yeah, that is saying a lot.
That is a heater.
Especially
heater from
TCU
MT Frog 5.
Yeah, TCU won't have played anybody that can elevate them in the top 5 to that point in the season, I don't think.
I mean, you're going to have gone, 6-0 and absolutely rinsed everybody you've played.
Yeah. Kansas would be the one where if you dominated Kansas, they're probably ranked potentially when you play them.
Everybody's oddly high on SMU this year, so you go to SMU before this game, you beat them, you host UCF, you beat them with KJ Jefferson. I mean, there's some. It's not
top 5.
It's not easy to go 6-0, but to win those 6
to top 5 in 6 games, though, that's a lot of. And the other part of that is a lot of other highly ranked teams would have to totally fall on it, and that's why I think it could be a top 20 matchup. Yeah. But it's a hot take. Yeah, it's spicy.
This is the hot take episode. That's a great hot take from MT Frog 5. Moving on.
Feels like a smelling salt.
Yes. Number 14 from Kenneth88 on HFB. TCU defense leads the conference in takeaways. And Andy Avalos is a finalist for the Broyles Award. For those that don't know,
Spicy.
Broyles Award is given to the best assistant coach in the country. Garrett Riley won it in 2022 when TCU made it to the college football playoff. That would be one of the biggest turnarounds for a defense I think we've ever seen in modern college football.
I just want to see TCU get takeaways. Leading the conference feels almost too greedy.
It's a hot take from Kenneth88.
Indeed.
Moving on to number 15. Alec Butcher 3 on Twitter says TCU finishes in the top 3 for total defense and offense in the Big 12.
Again, if that happens, we are having fun. We are having fun.
Having so much fun. I think if that happens, then you're legitimately talking 10-2, 11-1.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, this conference is going to not be super top heavy. There's that first 6-8 teams realistically could be in contention to play in the Big 12 championship game. So if you are top 3 on both of those sides of the ball, you are fairly elite, I think, when it comes to, the conference and potentially beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. Next hot take. Number 16 from Maximilian on Horned Frog Blitz. TCU beats Baylor, Tech, and SMU and still misses a bowl game.
I don't like this one, Max. This is uncomfortably hot for me.
It's really hot and like incredibly depressing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Would you rather beat those three teams and miss a bowl, or lose to those three teams and go 9-3?
No, I would rather, like, coming off of 5-7. Like, I'm not going to look at this in a vacuum. Coming off of last season, missing a bowl game 2 times in a row in this era of college football would set TCU football back more than a decade. I would rather go 9-3 with those being my 3 losses. Losing to SMU and letting them keep the skillet is a life I do not want to live. But for the greater good, I want 9 wins.
Well, don't we play them again in 25?
I thought this was the last time
TCU played SMU again?
I feel like this is the last time this is on the schedule.
I thought 25 was the last year. But maybe I'm wrong. You look. I'm going to go on to hot take number 17. This is from Paul in great callback to the ticket over on Horned Frog Blitz. He says, Bryle's offense regresses in the absence of a strong running game from both the running back and quarterback. As a result, the Frogs average fewer points per game in 2024. They averaged 31 per game in 2023. But the defense is vastly improved, so the Frogs still win 8 games. This is an impressive hot take from Paul. The defense gets better, the offense regresses, but TCU still wins 3 more games than they did a year ago. Is that how bad TCU's defense was last year?
Yes.
Okay.
I think this could be very true, but I do think the running game will be improved over last year. That's the one thing I would change. And yes, TCU does have SMU on the schedule in 2025. I was incorrect on that. I thought I kept thinking in my head this was the last time.
If you give away the skillet next year, you just go get it back in 25. All right, slide Perfect. 18, hot take number 18. We TCU win 2 games against top 10 opponents, but lose 2 games against the worst teams in our conference. This is from @FrogTruth101 on Twitter.
Yeah, I hate this one too.
It's hot.
Yeah.
But if you look at 2022, that could have happened also.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
You're talking about single-digit wins over Kansas State and Oklahoma State, 2 of the better teams in the conference, and a single-digit win over Baylor. A 1-point win over Baylor, right? And I think they finished close to last in the conference that year.
Yeah.
We almost witnessed this in 2022. But I think it's a pretty hot take nonetheless.
Yeah, I agree.
Number 19, Wrist Explosion on HFB says, defense leads the Big 12 in sacks and plays allowed over 25 yards.
That is, yes. I can 100% buy this take. This is exceptional.
This is a well-crafted hot take.
Yeah.
Because it indicates vast improvement at the thing TCU was terrible at last year and no improvement at one of the other things TCU was terrible about last year defensively.
Yeah,
like the 2 things are absolutely correlated on the field, but not in Wrist Explosion's brain.
Yeah, and it also does. It's the new Major League Baseball. It's strikeout or hit a home run. That could happen with this TCU defense. That's
true. That's very true. Maybe Wrist is onto something here. Hot take number 19 is a good one. Number 20, we're almost halfway done already.
Yeah.
Hot take number 20 from Ave Maria Frog on Horned Frog Blitz. TCU goes 6-0 to start the season. We've already kind of talked about this. Game day is there for TCU at Utah, where Josh Hoover becomes a household name among college football fans. Now, Ave Maria does something interesting here. They don't tell us whether or not TCU wins that game, but they tell us that Josh Hoover becomes a household name among college football fans. So,
is it because they win or because he throws 37 interceptions? I don't know.
Is it because he has his Brock Purdy interception moment against TCU where he throws a pick backwards, or does he do what we saw earlier and win 47-7? We'll never know. Yeah. We'll just have to play the football game.
Well, yeah, we'll find out in approximately 9 weeks, 10 weeks.
It's
so
true.
Yeah, that's a good one. I do. You know what? I don't think it's. I haven't looked at the schedule, the rest of the schedule for that day. If TCU is 6-0 and Utah starts strong, I absolutely could see game day going back to Salt Lake and that being a premier game in that week.
It would be pretty fun.
It would.
And hey, I think we'll be there.
We'll be there. Yeah.
Love to see it. All right. Hot take number 21 from Angelos Frog. Frogs have 6 players on the first team All Big 12, and then they list them: Savion, Abe Kamara, Carson Bruno, which is a nice one, Caleb Elarms-Orr, Cooper McDonald, and Jack Besh.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I'm here for it. I definitely think Cooper McDonald, Savion could very well. I fully expect that. KEO, I think, has a really good possibility, but there might be so much rotation in that unit. It's hard to say. Bruno would make me feel a lot better about the way this season went if he's an all Big 12 offensive lineman. And if Jack Besh makes all Big 12, I will be happy since everybody knows he's my favorite player on the team right now.
He is. He is. Yeah. The Carson Bruno pick here, I love. It is probably the spicier part of this. Not because Carson Bruno is bad necessarily. I even, as someone who's been observing TCU practice, haven't had much to say about Carson Bruno. Maybe that's a good thing.
It's a good thing in an
Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
We've been so wrapped up in the who's going to start at center debate that we haven't paid a ton of attention to right guard. So Angelos might be onto something here. We're going to have to keep an eye on this one. Moving on to hot take number 22 from Moss14 on HFB. We beat all rivals by 14 plus. Super Frog fist fights the Baylor Bear, Raider Red, and Peruna. This one's chaotic.
Yeah.
This one's so chaotic. I picked this one because it's very hot, because mascot fights would be very spicy for sure. But also, 14-point win over all three of your in-state rivals. No, I guess Houston's not a rival.
Yeah.
But
here's where I think it gets spicy. Baylor Bear, human in a mascot costume.
Sure.
Raider Red, human in a mascot costume. Peruna, horse.
Small horse though. Tiny
But
horse.
that's what I'm saying. I think it's cruel for a person to beat up an animal in any situation.
Would a person beat up a small horse though?
Well,
Tiny horse still strong.
Tiny horse is still strong. Also, if you get behind that horse and it kicks you, you're done.
Yeah, you
Even
can't try to flank the horse.
Yeah, you
You gotta take the horse head on. But then what if they just rear up and just hoof at you?
Yeah.
See, Peruna's the toughest one because it's not another person in a mascot costume.
I can't support that though because I don't want PETA coming for me, but also I'm not for person on animal crime unless you're saving your own life, and I'm assuming Super Frog initiated the contact here.
I think Super Frog was probably just hyped because TCU won by 14 plus.
Okay.
And
So
then
it's
the other
accidental,
mascot-
ran into Peruna.
Or just kind of
and
in
then,
your face, hyping it up,
Okay.
the mascot, the fake taunting that they do in the end zone sometimes. All this
Maybe
kind of
Peruna
stuff.
throws the first hoof.
Yeah. It's definitely
Okay.
Peruna.
All right, at
Peruna's
that
got the
point-
short temper for sure.
I mean, have you seen Super Frog's foam muscles? I don't know that I'd mess with Super Frog.
But see, I think they're hollow. I think you got to have real muscles just to fit into the suit right.
Wow. So now, we've known some previous Super Frogs.
It's true.
And honestly, Peruna would kick their ass. So
Whoa! Don't say that about Charles.
I'm sorry, Charles.
Don't say that about Charles. No. Side note.
Charles is wiry strong. He's wiry strong.
Charles Baggerly is strong. I don't know if you've seen him recently. I ran into him when TCU was playing in, I believe it was the Big 12 tournament out at Globe Life. Dude's been hitting the gym.
Yeah.
He's looking good. He's fit.
Doing a lot of
He's
hiking.
strong.
He's doing a lot of
Shout out
hiking.
to Charles Baggerly. If you're not following him on Twitter, he does excellent work for the Fort Worth Star Telegram covering high school football.
Yeah, he's the best. We
Moving
love
on.
Charles.
Hot take number
That got weird.
23. Howdy 555. This is one of my favorite ones. TCU is top 5 in sacks and takeaways, 17th in total defense. The Fort Worth Sack Exchange gets officially coined and used by the team.
I'm tearing up. That's a beautiful. Howdy, that is
Fort
a beautiful take. I love
Fort
that.
Worth Sack Exchange is a
Exceptional.
banger. An absolute banger. Top 5
Credit.
in sacks and takeaways, 17th in total D. Again, we're talking about one of the biggest single-year turnarounds for one side of the ball, probably in modern college football history.
Look, if they're top 5 in sacks and takeaways in the Big 12, I'll be happy. If they're 17th in total D in the Big 12, well, that's mathematically
news.
impossible.
That's
but
very bad.
Yeah, but I can't get past Fort Worth Sack Exchange, so I really hope this one's right, just so that we can actually use that.
We should probably start using it. All right, moving on. Hot take number 24. We have crossed the halfway point.
Not
here.
yet.
No, we haven't. I can't do math.
Nope.
TCU Ball 3 on Horn Frog Blitz says TCU has the most talented and most depth in the new Big 12. 2024 Frogs contend for a Big 12 championship. Depth becomes the key to the new 13 through 17 game season. I think this is a really interesting point that we haven't discussed. With the new playoff format, you could theoretically play up to 17 games in
Yeah.
a season.
An
Depth
NFL
will,
season.
depth will absolutely be a factor if you're making a deep run into the postseason.
Well, and I think TCU has good depth at some critical positions. Like, I feel confident in the quarterback room and the running back room. Like we talked about the defensive line, the linebacking unit. Where it becomes a question is offensive line, which is coming along. I think we might be there by week 1. Defensive line is pretty solid, so we're not too worried. Cornerback is obviously an issue. So I do think TCU can out-depth a lot of their Big 12 opponents. But at some of the key positions, notably secondary and offensive line, I don't know enough about the guys on the bench at other schools to say TCU can contend in that area. But I do feel really good about the depth in most of the units on the field.
Fully agree with that. On to hot take number 25. From Prime Beef, in all caps, on HFB, TCU will not win 7, 8, or 9 games during the regular season. Either the changes worked and the team goes 10-2, or we still see major issues and the team goes 5-7 or 6-6.
I mean, it's spicy, but I think it comes from a place of logic and reason.
I think this one's hot because it's like the instinct is to be it feels controversial.
Yeah.
Instinctively.
Yeah.
Because you think to yourself, 7 or 8 wins, like that's not a lot, right? Like that's a reasonable thing. But then you think back to, TCU hasn't won 8 games since the late 90s. They haven't won 9 games since 1955. Okay. So yeah, maybe they do just continue this boomer bust trend that we've seen them on for 20 plus years.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Number 26 from Go Frogs 08 on Home Frog Blitz.
Okay, again with the animal cruelty though,
Avalos unleashes the hounds of hell and literally eats SMU's pony's heart mid-game Indiana Jones style. I forgot to capitalize Jones. I did slightly edit these for legibility. No offense to the people whose things I edited slightly. I got questions. How recently did Go Frogs 08 watch an Indiana Jones film? Mm-hmm. Who are the hounds of hell? I'm assuming it's the front 7. So are they the Fort Worth Sack Exchange or are they the hounds of hell? We're going to have to figure that out. Maybe flip a coin.
Okay.
And does he eat Peruna's heart before or after Super Frog's fight with Peruna? Because that would wildly change how hot this take is.
These are the types of conversations that end up in the group chat so much where I just have to bow out and let you boys have your fun.
I'm going to clip this. I'm clipping this exact moment, putting in the group chat. I guarantee you the rest of the folks in there will have something to say about this.
Oh, 100%. This is absolutely the type of thing that happens at the second half of a blowout game in the press box. These are the conversations that get had along that front desk line. And that's when I go back down to the field and take more photos. You boys are funny.
We're going to have a great time talking about this in Dallas this year. Moving on.
Yeah.
Now we're across the halfway mark with hot take number 27.
And this is a good one to cross it with.
BKC55 on Twitter says TCU finishes the season as the top-ranked team in Texas. Now, I don't know who all's ranked in the preseason, various polls, everything, yada, yada, yada. But that means they're finishing better than Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Baylor, SMU, Houston, UTSA, maybe good,
Yeah.
I don't think that questionable about Rice or UTEP or Sam Houston or any of those guys.
Texas State, UNT,
Texas State.
Probably not. I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
Texas State, maybe.
There are a lot of Texas football teams, though.
Yeah,
13
really
to be
are.
exact, and each one has a podcast as part of
podcast.
the Republic of Football Network. Anyways, I like this one. I think it's moderately hot.
I think it's really, really spicy because I think Texas, obviously, I think they're in the top 5 to start. I mean, we'll see that the SEC is a different animal, and they haven't been all that successful in the Big 12 outside of last year. So we'll see about them. A&M will, get every opportunity to live up to the hype because they're A&M, and they do. But I would not be surprised at all if TCU finished ranked higher than the Aggies. It's hot. I think it's hot.
Yeah. Okay. I think you got me convinced. It's pretty spicy. Moving on. Hot take number 28 from TCU Frog 1103 on Twitter. The Frogs are top 10 in red zone efficiency. Again, this is another one of those things where we're talking about leaps that would be historic year over year. TCU was not opinion, fact, one of the worst teams in the red zone as far as efficiency is concerned a year ago. So to swing and be top 10 when you're replacing 4 offensive linemen, you're starting running back, several wide receivers, feels big, feels hot, feels spicy.
Feels spicy.
It does.
I love it. It's not going to happen.
Fair enough. Moving on. Hot take number 29 from Louisiana Frog 76. This is the last of the kind of TCU general before we move into player-specific hot takes. TCU ends up 10-2 with losses to Utah and Oklahoma State, but doesn't make the Big 12 championship. 11-1 Oklahoma State beats 11-1 Utah to win the Big 12. All 3 teams get in the playoffs.
3 Big 12 teams in the playoffs is hot. When you consider that the SEC is somehow going to finagle probably 6, the Big 12 will undeservedly get 4.
Big 10,
a Big 10, yeah, sorry. Well, it'll probably be 5 for the SEC, 4 for the Big 10, 1 for the ACC, the Big 12. Does that add up to 12? Oh,
that's
so we need
11.
1 for, okay, and then 1 for a G5. I don't think the Big 12 gets an at-large bid in the playoffs this year.
Interesting. So this is really spicy for you.
Yes, I don't see any scenario where the Big 12 has an at-large playoff team this year.
I could see them getting 2. I could see them getting 2 depending on who wins the conference. Say Utah goes 12-0 regular season, loses to an 11-1 Kansas State in the Big 12 championship game, and they're both sitting there at 12-1. I think the committee's putting them both in. I do.
I think it depends who the argument's against.
Sure, it doesn't happen in a vacuum, but I think you're going to be hard pressed to put 2 12-1 teams, keep one of those teams out.
Yeah, unless it's Florida with 7 wins, which 7-5 Florida will make the playoffs, and they probably deserve to based on their schedule.
Oh my gosh, yes! Pray for Billy Napier, folks, if you aren't already. Hot take number 30 from Will FTX on Horned Frog Blitz: Hoover will not finish the season as the starting quarterback.
This is not a hot take because TCU hasn't had a quarterback start and finish the season since 2017, which we talked about a couple of episodes ago. They have not been able to keep a guy on the field or pick the right guy to start the season. So I don't think this is spicy whatsoever. I hope it doesn't happen. But TCU for the last for 6 full seasons did not play a single quarterback for the entirety of the season.
So you're ruling this as not spicy.
Yeah.
This is unseasoned chicken, is what we're talking
about.
Well,
I think the salt and pepper's there, but we didn't get any of the Tony's Creole or anything heading up. There's no rub, there's no hurtado pork chicken rub or anything. We're just
fair enough.
Yeah.
Moving on. Number 31 from Froggy Enjoyer on Twitter: Hoover will be a top 3 quarterback in the Big 12 in touchdowns. We are all over the spectrum when it comes to Josh Hoover.
Yeah. I think this could absolutely happen. I mean, we saw how many times they asked him to throw the games, the opportunities he had, and he's got the weapons at wide receiver. So I think this is certainly a possibility. And like we said, like we've talked about all offseason, there are so many unknowns at the quarterback position in this conference this year. So it's really up for grabs as to who is going to be at the top of quarterback efficiency, touchdowns, yards, all of those things. And Hoover absolutely has the tools and the pieces around him to be one of those guys, assuming, the O-line continues to improve and if the running game is what we think it's going to be based off of fall camp.
I agree. This is where we get extreme with Josh Hoover. TextDal Dal, I can't say this one. At TextDal M Dal C on Twitter says Hoover wins the Heisman. This is hot take number 32.
Whew. This feels like practice at 4 p.m. for me, It's just too hot.
Too hot. It's spicy. Would love to see it. Very spicy. Might be the spiciest one we've encountered yet.
I think so.
Hot take number 33 is also that because I put it in there twice. Hot take number 34. Abe Kamara is the hardest hitting player in the country. This is from Will FTX on Horned Frog Blitz. I don't know how you measure this, but I think it could probably be true.
Yeah. He's among the guys I at least want to get hit by.
Facts, and they moved him into a position in this defense in the nickel where he's going to have more chances to come up and help in the run and hit people really hard. So watch out. Yeah. Watch out, everybody. Moving on. Hot take number 35. Cam Cook will have 1,500 yards. Now, TCU 1331 doesn't say if this is all rushing yards or all-purpose yards or whatever. This is spicy. This is spicy.
Yeah.
I meant to look up TCU single season rushing.
Yeah, I don't think TCU has had a guy approach anything close to that because they've been able to use so many guys because there has been depth at the position for most of the last several seasons.
Yes.
And I think Trey Sanders is going to be a big reason why Cam Cook doesn't have 1,500 yards because he's going to be effective with the ball based off of how he looks so far this camp and how healthy he is.
Now, Imani Bailey got close last year. Imani Bailey had 1,459.
Wow.
Rushing yards.
Did he really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wait, no, this is his career. This is career.
Okay, I was going to say there's no way because that run game could not have produced the 1,500 yards.
Season Sports Reference.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I don't feel like TCU's had a 1,000-yard rusher in several seasons.
Oh, Imani Bailey was over
Maybe
1,000 last year. Imani Bailey was over 1,000 last year.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was at almost 1,200. Hang on, everybody. Let me vamp for a second until I go to the single season rushing. Where are you? There you are. So that has only happened in TCU history 3 times.
Okay.
Eclipsing the 1,500.
LaDainian Tomlinson has got to be up there. Yeah, I was going to say.
2 of them. And then Kenneth Davis is the other one.
Okay,
with
yeah.
over 1,600 yards. Andre Davis in 1994 was 6 yards away. Kendre Miller got to the 1,399 yard mark in the 2022 season. If he could have just gotten one full game against Michigan and against Georgia, he probably hits that mark. And then, Tony Jeffrey is the only other TCU player to even eclipse 1,300 yards. So this is spicy.
Yeah, that is
spicy.
Incredibly spicy.
Yes.
And like I said, I think it's not a knock on Cam Cook. I just think there's so many guys back there that are effective that they don't need him. You know, where Kendre Miller had help, but he was still going to be the bell cow. Like, I don't think Cam Cook is going to average 22 carries a game.
I agree.
Yeah, so I think he's going to be more in that 15 to 18 range, and Trey Sanders could easily get 8 to 10.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, moving on. Hot take number 36. Cam Cook leads the Big 12 in rushing. We're on a Cam Cook hot streak here with Atlanta Frog from Horned Frog Blitz.
Ollie Gordon is still in this league.
He's banged up, but yes, Ollie Gordon is still in this league. I'm interested to see if there is a lead back situation happening at Kansas State this year because we know how they love to run the football. Yeah, I don't know. I could see Cam Cook being top 3 or 4 if he has a really good year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's plausible. I think this, as Atlanta Frog has presented it, is pretty hot. It's pretty hot take.
Pretty hot.
All right, moving on to 37. J.C. Watner on Horned Frog Blitz says Eric McAllister leads the team in receiving and finishes with 10 touchdowns.
That's spicy when you consider who's on the opposite side of him. With the caveat that if teams are really going to try to take away Savion Williams, Eric McAllister could absolutely flourish in that system. But you also have, Besh, you have JP, you have Drake Dabney. There's gonna be the ball's gonna have to go to a lot of different dudes. But Eric McAllister has the talent, the ability, and the skills. If he can continue to develop that chemistry with Hoover, he could end up being the most explosive receiver on that unit.
I think so. And we'll do some Big 12 prediction or TCU season predictions next week on the show. But I think this is plausible. 10 touchdowns is a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, it's a lot of touchdowns.
When you spread the ball around like Kendall Browse likes to do. But yeah, pretty spicy. Pretty spicy. I think the 10 touchdowns part is pretty spicy.
Yeah.
I don't think Eric McAllister leading the team in receiving is necessarily as spicy. Moving on. Hot take number 38 from Paul in Haas makes a play or two in his limited snaps during his redshirt year, and the fans immediately want to bench Hoover. This is a cold take, Paul, for no other reason than this happens every single year. The backup quarterback is the most popular person on the team. It is spicy, though, because Haas isn't the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Haas is the third string quarterback. Ken Seals is still on this team, and he had a really good fall camp.
Yeah, I was super impressed with Ken Seals. Somebody asked me if he, I was on another podcast, and if he, would be competing or whatever. Here's the thing, though, that I think to keep in mind. There's not going to be a special package for Ken Seals. There might be a special package for Haas Haney.
Look, I'll believe it when I see it happening
Yeah.
because we were teased with Sam Jackson special packages for a couple years there, and we never got to see it, and it made me really sad.
Yeah,
if we
me
see
too.
one for Haas, heck yeah, I'm all in on it. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Hot take number 39 from Baxtog on Twitter. We will see Haas play a lot of snaps this year. Worried about Hoover's durability.
I think it's hot because I think, again, you just mentioned Ken Seals is on this team and he is the backup quarterback. So if someone's playing a lot of snaps, there's a much higher probability it's Ken Seals than Haas Haney.
I agree, and I'm also the second sentence of this I don't believe is very hot because we've only ever seen Josh Hoover play 6 games and he missed all spring.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. Number 40, annoying group of 20 from Horned Frog Blitz says Haas wins a game on a 2-point conversion play.
I mean, sign me up for that in a heartbeat. But
Yes.
again, all it's gonna do. I guess it depends how we got there. Is this a 2-point conversion play that helps TCU win 50-48, and we've put plenty of points on the board, or is this a
question.
2-point conversion play because Josh hasn't been effective leading up to this point? That's there's a lot of unknowns surrounding this one, but pretty spicy. But I like it.
Pretty spicy indeed. Hot take number 41 from Corrupted Frog. If you can't tell, Melissa, we're on
The Haas Haney train. Yeah.
the Haas Haney train here. Haas has taken the reins by conference play, and we're undefeated. So, conference play starts in week 3.
Yeah.
And again, we've talked about Ken Seals being the backup quarterback. This is wildly spicy. This might be top 5 spiciest.
This is wishful thinking for someone who obviously is a big fan of Alito high school football, I think, which is great. I think, again, the story of Haas, his parents being athletes at TCU, the pictures of him as a little kid, and I think everybody wants Haas to be a superstar at TCU because it's too good of a story for it not to happen. But I think we also just need to let the kid be a freshman quarterback at big-time college football, and if he gets opportunities to make plays and be on the field, great. But I think if we are relying on Haas Haney by week 3, TCU is not making a run to the Big 12 championship game.
Potentially in trouble.
Yeah.
Moving on, hot take number 42 from Lobo Frog. Harris, Deary, Brockermeyer, Bruno, and Mike, the projected starting 5 along the offensive line, stay healthy and are a very good offensive line.
Hot, but reasonable. Could happen.
Hot, hopeful. I'm a fan of this take.
Yeah,
I'm a fan
I
of this
agree.
take. Oh,
Yeah. Careful, though. Buddy.
I'm so choked up about this next one. H-Town Frog on Horned Frog Blitz for hot take number 43 says Bud Clark wins the Jim Thorpe Award. That would be, Melissa, TCU's 3rd Jim Thorpe Award in 5 years.
Yeah, that's huge. So not that spicy because TCU certainly has had a run, but it would mean a big marked improvement from last year to this year for Bud Clark. I wouldn't put him past him doing it, though. He's looked good in camp, and he's doing all the right things.
Andy Avalos has sung his praises throughout fall camp, and we know that Paul Gonzalez is the DB whisperer at this point.
And,
So,
and is there
he's in good
anybody
hands.
we would be when you
Oh
look
my
at the
gosh.
guys that have won it,
Oh.
Bud Clark is right up there as a personality and a human being where that would be a pretty good guy to be the 3rd one to win it in the last.
An absolute
years.
blast. It would
Yeah,
be
he's the
such a blast. Okay. Continuing on, hot take number 44 from Jeff Nah. Marcus Steele and Colton Deary will both earn honorable mention All Big 12 this year.
Marcus Steele is spicy because that's a kid who does not have a lot of stats with this team, and I don't, I think he's probably kind of fluttering between that 2 and 3 deep right now, right? So he'll get opportunities, but he would have to really leapfrog some guys in order to be All Big 12. Colton Deary I like because I think he's in a position to be really, really good this year for TCU. I think his growth has been definitely noticeable. I'm going to be interested to see where he plays because that determines
Yes.
how high I am on him, I think, to a degree. But again, it's just like we were talking about earlier. If TCU has offensive linemen on the All Big 12 or the honorable mention team, things have gone well for us.
I agree. Fully agree. Deal has made some progress. He took a lot of snaps with the second team this past week. We'll see. But yeah. Very spicy from Jeff. Hot take number 45 from Anon 5384033 who has done a great job of being Anon.
A bunch of numbers.
Hoover is a top 10 quarterback in the nation.
Spicy.
Now, we've talked about the quarterback situation in the conference. But nationally,
Yeah. Good year.
there's some pretty good quarterbacks out there.
Good year. Yeah.
Now, we'll see. Some of these schools are replacing really good quarterbacks, talking about Washington, USC, LSU, all having to replace guys that went in the first round of the NFL draft this past year. Ohio State's working with a new quarterback who's Will Howard, the Kansas State transfer. You got Avery Johnson at Kansas State, who I'm pretty high on this year.
Dylan Gabriel at Oregon. Bo Nix looks fabulous, by the way, with the Broncos right now.
Dylan Gabriel at Oregon. You've got year 2 Carson Beck at Georgia. Like, you got some dudes out there this year.
Yeah.
Pretty spicy, Anon. Pretty spicy. Hot take number 46 from Ma Schiefer on HFB. JPR will lead the team in receiving yards.
I don't think that's spicy whatsoever, because I think that's the guy that Josh Hoover's most comfortable with, and I think and what Kendall Briles really understands is that fact. And so there are a lot of times when JPR is the outlet, is the release, is the safety, is, he's not always going to be the first look, the first priority in a route tree, but Josh Hoover always knows where he is, and he's always in a position to make a play. Absolutely,
fully agree with that. But I love it. I love the concept of it, but not spicy. Not spicy at all. Slide number 47. Hot take number 47 from Go Frogs FTW. Savion keeps improving, and draft time is considered the next Debo. You're a 49ers person. You're our 49ers expert. How spicy is this take?
I had not thought about that, and now that it's being put in writing, this is an exceptional hot take. This is because I think I don't feel like we're going to see Savion lining up. Well, we've maybe seen some things where he's lining up, not necessarily in his normal position, without giving too many things away. But he's not going to be running the ball a lot, up the gut, like we'll see Debo do, and more running back type plays. But I think they will find ways to force feed him the ball. And when they did that in that Texas game, that Savion was absolutely unlocked. I love this, and I think we've talked ad nauseum about how much faster Savion is. With his size, with his strength, with his speed, this is an exceptional comp. And Go Frogs FTW, this, yes, for the win. Excellent take. Hot, but more of a okay, I like that.
I had, like you, had not considered that as an NFL comp for Savion, just because production-wise, we haven't really seen it.
Fair. Fair.
And I think I could see it, though. And like you said, we've seen some things this fall. Pretty intriguing.
Things.
But at the same time, the leap has to be there.
Yeah.
He's gotta make the leap.
Yeah.
And so I think that makes this pretty spicy.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I'll tell you, though, man, the amount of scouts that are lined up on that field watching Savion Williams every single practice tells me that there are a lot of NFL people that think he can be something special. And so, but you're right. But he's got to go out and prove it in a TCU uniform. And I think every single person that follows TCU is hoping he does. I think everybody's rooting for this guy. He is beloved by this fan base, and rightfully so.
Yes, he is, and I think he's primed for a very good season.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong. All right, slide 48. Task Force Frog. Dom Johnson leads the running backs in touchdowns. I don't think this is as spicy as it seems on the surface.
Really?
I don't, because I think if you have one guy in that room who is your goal line back, it's 20. It's Johnson. He is a big dude. Not going to give away what I've seen in fall camp. He's a big dude. I could see him getting a lot of short yardage runs. How many of those happen at the goal line? TBD. But I know that every Frog fan is hoping for a more efficient red zone offense this year. And the first step to that, in my opinion, is being able to run the ball effectively in the red zone.
I think you make a really great point. Where I find this take to be incredibly spicy is I don't have confidence TCU will be able to score from inside 20 yards. So until that gets proven otherwise, I think a lot of the touchdowns early could come from farther out, and I think that screams Cam Cook, Trey Sanders.
Fair enough. I also forgot to correct the spelling of Dom Johnson's name on this slide, so apologies to him. Moving on, hot take number 49, also from Task Force Frog. Lamarian James is an all-conference cornerback. This would, I think, be very, very spicy. I also think if this happens, we're talking about a very good TCU football team.
And I will say, of all of the secondary players I've watched in camp, I keep finding my eyes drawn to Lamarian James. Mm-hmm. I think he has a chance to be something special, but I don't want to put too much pressure on him and say he's going to be all conference.
Yeah. He has great footwork. I know how good he is in CFB 25 because I almost won the Heisman.
Oh my God, yeah. He's
like
he's super competitive level. In practice too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he leads me in interceptions. Yeah. And he's just so competitive at the catch point. I'm watching him. I like what I've seen. Yeah.
I like this one a lot from Task Force. All right, slide number 50. We're getting close. We got 3 left, Melissa.
Whew, okay.
This is from Thomas Pinal Goat on Twitter. Cooper McDonald will be second team All Big 12, and so will Dalen Wright after he leads the team in receiving yards. So this is like a double take in one.
Everybody's leading the team in receiving yards. Shows the depth of the room, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good problem to have, I think. At this point, feels good.
I think Cooper McDonald, second team All Big 12. I would be willing to write that down in pen. I think that happens. I love that one.
Nice.
Dalen Wright, I think he has, like I said, I think it's possible. It definitely has a chance. It's going to be really interesting to see what the distribution looks like at the end of the season with all of these wide receivers.
Yeah, I agree. I think I give this a half spice because of the Dalen Wright part.
It's like Taco Bell's hot sauce. It says hot, but it's not that spicy.
Which one are you getting? And on any given day, how spicy is it really?
Oh, I'm going fire for sure.
Hot take number 51. TCU Frogs 09. Drake Dabney leads the Big 12 in touchdowns for a tight end.
Yeah, I mean, Jared Wiley did a year ago, right? Or was he? Or he's close. He was near the top. Yeah. So I definitely think this is a possibility. I'm excited about Drake Dabney. I've liked what I've seen out of him. It's working in a new guy, getting that trust with the ball, needing to get to so many places. But I think Dabney is going to be a big time weapon for this team. I
agree. All right, this is the last one, Melissa. And I said it was the spiciest.
Okay. Wait, let me take a breath.
It's also potentially just the most completely out of pocket one.
Okay, great.
And and we've had 2 that have involved murdering or assaulting a horse.
Wait, who is this from? Do I know who this is from?
It's from H-Town Frog 22.
Okay, so I can anticipate where this could be going.
I adore. Yeah. I love H-Town. He's great. He's hilarious. He's edgy, right? Like, he gets the people going. He gets them all fired up. He knows how to turn a thread.
Being edgy on a message board, though, come on.
He knows how to turn a game thread from a 3-pager to a 10-pager. And for that, I thank him. Here we go. Hot take number 52. Bryle's offense is so bleeping elite, he gets hired as Florida's new head coach. Daddy Art takes over next year, and we're a top 5 offense until he retires in 2031.
First of all, who spells daddy with an I-E?
Like
if you're listening to this,
I tried to prep you. It's so wild and chaotic. We just had to end on this one because it was absolutely insane.
Yeah,
absolutely insane.
I don't. Yeah. What do you think, Jamie?
I think it's insane.
Okay.
I think it's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's wild. And yeah, I think
Listen, Bryles to Florida. Not necessarily that out of pocket, especially what's going on with the Florida collegiate system.
We will see.
But I think he would take his dad with him. I don't think his dad is staying at TCU.
I don't think so either. I don't think Art's ever getting another job.
I don't think that's a spicy take whatsoever.
But this take is
hot.
The hottest.
This is when you go to the Thai restaurant and you ask for a Thai spicy. This is what you've done. Yeah, and you're going to reap the repercussions for it for days to come. So
you are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. We did it in under an hour 10.
It's not bad.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good. Melissa, let's give one more big thank you to our new sponsoring partner in the Flying Tea Club. We are now Frogs Insider, presented by the Flying Tea Club. Thankful for their partnership, thankful for them agreeing to work with us, and we are so excited about what we're going to be able to do for you, our listeners. with this partnership, talking to these student athletes, telling their stories, putting them in front of you. You can consider Frogs Insider now the gateway to knowing more about the student athletes that come on campus at TCU. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure you know every single one of them. Super excited about this partnership.
Yeah, this is going to be an incredible opportunity for us and hopefully for our TCU fans. This is super exciting and super fun, and we can't wait to continue to bring you guys more great stuff.
Absolutely. With that being said, this has been the Frogs Insider Podcast presented by the Flying T Club. I'm Jamie Plunkett. She is Melissa Treebwasser, and we will talk to you next week.
Go Frogs.
Go Frogs.